Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and in the group today we're going to talk about how if you get XRP yield, how do you get it? How does it work? Well, somebody weighed in on that, and you'll find it very interesting. I'm going to talk about that in the group. You can join the group at daixrp.com, or you can click join below any of these YouTube videos, or you can click the subscribe in X. You can join it any of those ways. Check this out. Australia's SwiftX to acquire Caleb and Brown in record $66 million plus ANZ crypto deal. M&A deal in ANZ. Is that a symbol for Australia? I don't know what that is. But anyway, this is good from this perspective. You aren't getting bought if you haven't been vetted. And I keep telling you that Caleb and Brown's one of the places where I keep my crypto, because they have the Fireblocks institutional custody. They also have a person you can actually talk to, and my understanding is they're going to operate they're going to continue to operate as Caleb and Brown, even though they've been bought. And then you also get the institutional grade liquidity for your exit strategy. You can go to xrpwealth589.com and it'll forward you to this page here on Caleb and Brown. You can just click the sign up today button if that's your thing. They are my affiliate sponsor or affiliate partner. There's a lot of interesting stuff coming. Check this out. SEC approves conversion of Grayscale digital large cap fund into an ETF, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, ADA. And this guy is the ETF guy. There's approval order for Grayscale's GDLC to convert an ETF. This is their digital large cap fund that holds Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Cardano. Final deadline's tomorrow. That deadline's today. And the reason I did this video last night is because I had to get, in fact, while you're listening to this, I'm having to get my second colonoscopy right now while you're listening, probably. Fun. And then Elmore Terrett had put this out. Scoop, the SEC is in the early stages of creating a generic listing standard for token-based ETFs in coordination with exchanges. The thinking, I'm told, is that if a token meets the criteria, issuers could skip the 19B4 process, file an S1, wait 75 days, and the exchange could list it. This approach could save both issuers and the SEC a lot of paperwork back and forth on comments. What those listing standards would be is still unclear, but some are speculating market cap, trading volume, liquidity are all under consideration. Through a spokesman, SEC declined comment. And this guy who, he is senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg. Yes, this is what everyone wants, what makes sense and what we think will happen and why we're so bullish. 95% on most of the coins approval. Question is, what will the standard be? We think they'll likely be loose enough where the vast majority of the top 50 coins would be okay to be ETF sized. I give you the blue chip cryptos. I've been telling you for a while, I was estimating it would be around 30, maybe it'll be around 50. But once you get in that club, guess who's going to suck up all the liquidity? The blue chip the blue chip crypto, and the rest of them are going to be relegated to the pink sheets of crypto, which is called penny stocks. They'll be on some smaller market or whatever. I've seen this twice, once from Gemini, something big is coming tomorrow, stay tuned. And then Paul Barron said something is coming that the XRP army is going to love. And then there's Paul Barron was retweeting Eleanor Terrett's tweet as well. And he's like, why this matters for issuers, lower compliance costs, faster time to market, greater predictability. For investors, more product choices, potentially safer, more liquid offerings. For the market, could lead to broader adoption of token-based ETFs and increased mainstream acceptance of digital assets. And it'll be the blue chips. you can totally see where this is going. I wanted to show you this. He says first crypto owners crisscross every single demographic divide we have. What's important about this, well, let's see how you broke it down. 37% of crypto holders are GOP, 36 Democrat, 31% liberal, 29% conservative, 37 moderate, 36% women, 62% white, 19% black, 21 Hispanic, 7% Asian, 4% Native American, da 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 da. The point being is that, my friends, is called a voting block. And that's why I wanted to show you this. That's why, one of the many reasons crypto is here to stay. Here's federal chair Jerome, maybe temporary federal chair Jerome Powell on this crypto.
And so yes to that question. Let me say on stable coins if I can.
Yep.
I do share the concerns that you hear here, but I also think it's a positive step that we don't have a regulatory framework for these now in the United States. We tried very hard in the last Congress to work with people on both sides of the aisle to create such a thing. Now it looks like we're well on the way to creating a framework, which I think is something we need. If we're going to have stable coins, and apparently we need to have a federal and state level regulatory framework, which I think we're making progress towards having.
We only have a couple of minutes left,
Interesting stuff. This is interesting. This is Ron Paul saying that you can't tax money and Bitcoin is money. Well, if Bitcoin's money, XRP's money.
What does that mean with regards to Bitcoin, and what role do you see Bitcoin potentially playing in that kind of monetary system?
Well, it would mean that, if right now, if you buy and sell gold, you get it taxed. They can do that. If you make a profit in Bitcoin, you read stories about people being taxed on it. You can't tax money. You don't tax it. If you bought $1 a year ago and it went down 10%, you can't take a loss because your dollar lost value. So it's the currency that if you compete with it, in some ways there's a little bit of that internationally, but nobody's allowed to compete at a national level. We're not allowed to compete with the currency. I know during the presidential campaign, a few of my enthusiastic supporters actually designed a coin, and they had my image on there, which was pretty silly, and they called it a Ron Paul dollar. They got into big trouble. They got in trouble because they could not use the word dollar. That was encroaching on the monopoly control of money.
But what is the main theme that you plan on conveying about Bitcoin when you address the conference on Friday? What is your overall perspective on Bitcoin?
Well, I won't try to explain exactly technically where it's good, bad, or indifferent. I will argue more the case for the legalization of freedom of choice, and the people should make the decision, not the government. And
I agree with him on most everything. This right here, I don't know if the CEO of Robinhood realizes it, but I can promise you, you are not allowed to say what he said here. And I also think that they might be saying the quiet part out loud, finally.
I believe it will make it easier to invest in American companies if you're outside the world. It will also bring the markets into 24/7 and fully on-chain and get all the benefits that crypto technology levies on these traditional assets. So I think it's time to move beyond Bitcoin and meme coins into real-world assets that exhibit fundamental utility.
Let me translate what he just said. What he just said is there's no difference between Bitcoin and a meme coin, and it was never Bitcoin. It was the utility digital assets that you're actually going to be able to tokenize the world on, XRP Ledger being one of them. And that is the fact, Jack. If you really sit back and you think about it, how much liquidity can Bitcoin get when, that's why Michael Saylor and these guys are constantly out there trying to talk the next buyer, whether it's a country or a company for their treasuries or the United States government. They're trying to go find the next buyer because they have to know what's coming. What happens where's the liquidity going to be closest to sitting when you start tokenizing things on the XRP ledger? Where's the majority of the liquidity from that tokenization going to sit? It's not going to be beside Bitcoin. It's going to be beside the XRP ledger, beside XRP itself. This isn't hard to figure out. And I've racked my brain for all these years trying to figure out why are we the only ones saying this? Seems very obvious to me how this story ends. Very obvious. Okay, we're going to go into the group. Go to daixrp.com for the Patreon, or if you'd rather join through YouTube, click the join button and you can join through YouTube. One of the things we're going to show you is how is the XRP yield going to happen, and maybe on what platforms. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.